Consistency at the top is built year after year by leaders like Mary Lynn Stone, president and co-owner of Century 21 New Millennium, and CEO Todd Hetherington, who know how to scale without losing culture. Century 21 New Millennium is one of the most consistently high-performing brokerages in the Century 21 system. Under Todd's leadership, the firm has been ranked the #1 Century 21 company in the world 5 times, growing to over 1,000 agents across 23 locations and generating billions in annual sales.
When you start thinking about some of the tough decisions that realtors need to make every day, that broker owners need to make every day, a lot of times you've got to choose that harder right instead of the easier wrong.
His influence on the industry has earned him long-standing recognition on the Swanepoel Power 200 and induction into RIS Media's Hall of Fame. Joining him is Jason Carrier, president of Century 21 New Millennium, a leader known for turning growth into a system, not a scramble.
Don't operate on top of Rapunzel's tower, meaning get out from the tower and get out into the field.
Jason has recruited hundreds of agents, led multiple top-producing offices within the Century 21 network, and continues to drive expansion through coaching, training, and strategic acquisitions. Together, Todd and Jason lead with clarity, discipline, and a deep commitment to developing people, proving that sustained success is about more than momentum. It's about structure. Today, they join Darryl Davis for an honest conversation about leadership, growth, and what it really takes to build an organization that keeps winning. Let's dive into today's episode of Real Estate Unscripted.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. We are very, very honored to have two special guests with us, Jason Carrier and Todd Hetherington, for our Real Estate Unscripted podcast today. What we're going to do is you guys can use the chat to be chatty, because I know you love that, and to tell us where you're from, what you hope to get out of today, and say hello to our guest. We are going to reserve questions for the Q&A panel and the Q&A panel only. I'm probably going to say that 5 times or so before we're done today. So if you pop your question in the chat, we won't see it. So make sure that if you do have questions at the end is when we're going to take those to put those into the Q&A panel only. On that note, Darryl, I'm going to let you take it away.
Thanks, Jules. Good morning, everybody. So let me just jump right into this because we have so much great, I'm sure it's going to be a great interview. So I want to give you a little background of who we've got here. So Todd and Jason are both Century 21 New Millennium. Just a little background on the company. They're one of the, hi Todd and hi Jason. Thanks for being here, by the way. This is why this is unscripted, because I sometimes am very sloppy in how I do what I do. So thanks, Todd, for that. So Century 21 New Millennium, 25 offices serving Maryland, Virginia, D.C. They expanded into West Virginia in 2023. They've got mortgage, title, insurance, relocation, referrals, commercials, one of the top Century 21 affiliates in the U.S. And I think we're just about under 1,000 agents. And Todd, what I love about Todd's background is he went to West Point, got BS in civil engineer admin from George Washington University, U.S. Army veteran. After active duty, launched the independent brokerage in 1990, focused on military relocation. Hoorah, I say to that. Then, there you go. And also Risk Media's Newsmaker Hall of Fame of 2019. And of course, we got Jason too, his new president of just a couple of years. He oversees growth in marketing, training, recruiting, strategic. We were chatting a little bit, and Jason has a passion and love for recruiting and nurturing agents, not just any agents, but quality agents. And so that was really great to hear. But I didn't know this, Jason, that you played Major League Lacrosse as well. So look at the two of you. I feel like a very lazy non-man. You guys are really men. And so I'm honored to be here with you both. So let's get started. Todd, when you launched the company in 1990, what do you got here? You built a multi-service platform. What were the first 2 operating principles that still guide you today?
It's interesting. That's a good question. I think our mission statement, although it's somewhat verbose, it hits home. And there's 2 points in particular I'll bring out. Is the last line of it says that we strive to do everything in a way that is fun, fair, and profitable. And I think if you have fun with what you're doing, which I thankfully have been blessed for the last almost 4 decades to be playing this game and still having fun. Our operative word when we make decisions is fair. And when you can have fun and make sure that everybody's treated fairly, the profitability takes care of itself. But I'd also probably zero in on, we have a clause in the middle of our mission statement that says we choose the harder right rather than the easier wrong. And I actually stole that from the cadet prayer at West Point because I thought it was excellent. And when you start thinking about some of the tough decisions that realtors need to make every day, that broker owners need to make every day, a lot of times you've got to choose that harder right instead of the easier wrong. So I think those 2 things are something that we started years ago. And I would imagine they are definitely here today, but I would imagine that they'll be well into the future.
You know, Todd, I want to say something for everybody because what you just said, I almost feel like I could end the podcast right now with what you just shared. That's how valuable it was because, first of all, let me say what I originally was going to say. So we have 2 groups of people on this call. We have leaders, and then we also have agents. And what I want to encourage the agents to do is to listen through a listening of being their own leader. So as a sales agent, as a real estate professional, there's still so much value in hearing how leaders think about running the company, and you translate that to your own business. For example, the clarity that Todd just gave about who the company is with their mission statement and some of the language he just shared. Every agent should have their own mission statement, their own motto, their own slogan. Very powerful. Jason, to you, when you came on as president, what were some of the first 180 days that you did? What were some of the things that you wanted to keep or change?
Good question. Well, first of all, to be aligned next to Todd and Mary Lynn, Todd's partner, following their leadership for really the last 2 decades has been an honor. And all I needed to do was not screw it up. And
I hear it.
I truly, I say all the time, if you want to get better at anything, surround yourself with people more talented than yourself. And that's something I've been honored to stand next to them for this many years. I think one of the things that I try to do out of the gates is that, I can't remember which book it was, but they talked about don't operate on top of Rapunzel's tower, meaning get out from the tower and get out into the field. I think one of the first things that I tried to do coming out of COVID, I'm a relationship person. I need to shake hands. I need to be belly to belly with someone. If they're going to come on with our company and represent our brand, and I need to know that they fit within our culture. And it's very hard to do that. I mean, Darryl, this is great. We can smile and laugh on Zoom, but sometimes you meet a different side of somebody when you're truly in front of them live. Shake hands, eyeball to eyeball. So out of the first, couple months of getting in this role, I want to be out in the offices. Just this week, I was counting as I was driving to one of our offices today. I'm sitting in Annapolis. I've been in 9 offices this week. I was in 3 yesterday. I want to be visible. I want the agents to know that we're listeners. One of the things I've most valued about Todd and Mary Lynn is they're very, very good listeners. Double the listening, less the talking. And when you become good listeners and you listen to your people, that's staff, that's your realtors, you make good decisions and you don't operate out of a vacuum. So I really tried in my role to get out with the agents and get them in, and most of them knew who I was, just that I'd been around for a long time, but now I was at a different level to learn from them and listen and implement based on what was important for their growth.
Awesome. You reminded me of an expression that I read. I like to collect things and collectibles, and I have a book published in, I think, 1946. So it's not really an antique book, but the title is How to Be a Salesperson. And in that book, I'll never forget, it says, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should communicate in that proportion. Listen twice the amount of speaking that you do. So that's brilliant. By the way, Julie, I just have to shout out to you and acknowledge you. I've been meaning to do this. I love how you pull these little slogans from our interviewees and throw it up in the chat. That's really brilliant. Julie, keep doing it. Thank you. All right, let's see. What do we got? So you're a full stack, right? So you got mortgage, you've got title, insurance, relocation. How did you decide which services of those that you would do in-house versus putting, just aligning with a vendor that you would recommend?
So I think if you look back at our history, we pretty much had every iteration and permutation of any type of mortgage relationship, from an MSA to a JV to a full bore owning it, aligning with banks, et cetera. And on the title side, similarly, and we are the jurisdictions that we operate, we can actually conduct settlement services and title insurance and all of it. So if you're on the West Coast, I apologize, because the escrow side would be totally different than the settlement side. But specific to us, really, Darryl, the way we decide is, can we do it as well, if not better, than somebody else coming in and plugging and playing? And what I mean by that is, we have, because of the footprint, it's literally a 3-hour geographic footprint centered around Washington, D.C., into the outlying suburbs. Because of that footprint, we have myriad relationships. Some are in-house and some are out-house. Some are company-owned on the mortgage side and title side. Mortgage side's all company-owned now. But the title side specifically, we have a smattering of working JV relationships with partners, as opposed to employees that are working directly for NM Management and NM Real Estate Services, which is the parent company that the real estate, mortgage, title, and everything under. So it's really, can we do it as well, if not better?
Got it. So that's the deciding factor. Okay. And if you were, so we've got, I'm assuming we have some leaders watching right now that are, that one office with 40 agents, and they're getting ready for their next level. If they were going to bring on an ancillary business, whether it's a partnership or doing it in-house, which would you recommend would be the first one that they should look at doing?
I'll jump in first, Jay, and I'm sure you've got an opinion on this, but I can tell you that the industry today, the mortgage industry today, is totally different than what it was 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. Everybody was fat, dumb, and happy 3 years ago. Realtors, originators, whatnot. 2 out of 3 originators are out of business today that were functioning and making good money 3 and 4 years ago. So 3 and 4 years ago, I would have answered and said, "Oh, get into the mortgage industry." Today, I'd caution you and tell you that it's very difficult to excel there, especially at a smaller scale. Title is sort of our shining star right now, and that's been the bright point for the past several years. But if I were a broker owner of a single office with 40 agents, I would probably focus more on generating company-generated business and teaching my agents how to go out and expand their sphere and expand, the ripple effect of they drop the stone in and go out. So I'd go after hospitals, universities. I'd go after accounts. I mean, we're blessed in the DC area that there are, literally 15 military installations within a 30-mile radius of our headquarters in Alexandria, and not to mention the federal government. So the niche, as you mentioned in the intro, of military relocation, just spawned into government relocation and corporate relocation. So I'd encourage them to try to go out and proactively teach your agents that you actually practice what you preach, mm-hmm. and you generate business every day.
Brilliant. What would you say, Jason?
Well, just seeing how we've evolved, certainly mortgage and title is a core component of who we are. And we're not shy to say to our agents that that's where we make the majority of our money. We're very, very clear. As we know, it's a battle on agent compensation. What was once 30 years ago a 50-50 split has long evaporated. And the mortgage business, I actually came from PHH Mortgage back in the day, phone in, move in. If anyone on this call remembers the phone in, move in days, started in that world. That world has very much changed. I think the mortgage piece right now is just as much a relationship business, as the agents will attest, that they've got clients that are great vendors per se, that they work with home inspectors and contractors, those same strong relationships they have with their mortgage loan officers. The phone and move in of just calling someone and getting a price quote are long gone. It's the most important transaction of someone's life. They need to have a trusted advisor, and where they get their money is a key component to it. I came from the world, I still talk about it today, is that it's not about the rate you get, it's about your price. Stop telling people about the rate, talk about their price, because there's really good loan officers that are very good salespeople that'll be charging 2 points, and like, oh wow, now I know where they're making the money. Some of those days have gone with LEs now, but still, we need to educate. It's about price. Where Todd and Mary Lynn and where our company has gone is that I say to agents all the time, whoever catches the customer, whether it's caught on the internet, whether it's caught at a networking event, whether it's caught at a school PTA meeting and someone identifies, I want to sell my house, that person wins. If Zillow catches it, if another website catches it, they win. And as a company, and as we look to the future, is that we need to look as leaders, and the agents on this call, you know, if you catch the business, you're going to win. Your margins are stronger. But if the company catches it, refers it to you, we've got dollars that are split. So as we move to an industry where everyone's out there fighting for the customers, and the scary part is the cost to acquire a customer is changing rapidly with AI and all the other tech tools that are out there that are trying to take away your past customers, our past customers. That the only way we stay ahead of it is the relationship that was built from the time you started and the transaction that you completed. If that relationship is maintained, and it's not just an email, it's not just a social media post, it's you getting in front of them and delivering a Thanksgiving pie like you do every year, and thanking them for their business. That's the relationship that'll get them to come back. If we just rely on them, pick up the phone and call you, you're going to lose them because technology is too strong right now. They will outsmart you, and they're marketing to your people in the night when you're sleeping, and that's when it gets very, very scary. So I'm with Todd. I think the future is definitely in the business of helping our agents grow by the company going out and nurturing and incubating leads for our people.
Well, you guys are really, you're not leaving anything on the table. This is great. You know, what you just said, Jason, that was so honest at the very beginning when you said there's not money in really the agents because of the split side of things, or where really the company, any business, real estate company, is these ancillary revenue things because of those splits, which, by the way, is really good for agents to get. Like agents like that are on this call, there's a reason why they're called brokers, because they're broker than everybody. And so they have to, and you know, when you think about like Zillow, for example, their model is clearly, you know, let's get everybody that we can get in so we can make money on the other pieces that's out there in the real estate transaction. So from an agent standpoint, supporting your broker in supporting those other revenue streams for the company is the thing you should do as a loyal agent of the company. The second thing is, as a broker growing, you've got to keep that in mind. If you're offering a higher split, where else can you make up and make some revenue for the business? Because you can't depend just on the agent side. Okay, love that. So when you guys started expanding, Todd, I guess it's more for you, Todd, like, you know, expanding to other offices and then expanding to other states and area can be very risky, right? And so when you started to expand in offices and states, was there like certain things that a framework that like we have to make sure this, and this are in place in order for us to proceed to move forward?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is it going to be profitable? Is it accretive to the bottom line? I make it analogous to an agent. If you're looking to expand your business, or if you're a team leader and you're looking to add more to your team, by bringing that additional team member on, by bringing that person another seat that is going to take up your time, take up your air, take up your coffee, take up everything, are they going to increase your bottom line? You know, you shouldn't care and we shouldn't care about bragging rights for the volume that we do. We shouldn't necessarily care about the units that we do. If you're building a business and running a business as an agent, team leader, or broker owner, you need to make sure that what you're focused on is bottom line profitability. Because without that, you're doing your agents a disservice because you aren't going to be in business. And this has morphed and changed through the last 4 decades that we've been playing the game. Right now, I would submit to everyone that on a broker standpoint, if they don't participate in mortgage and title, I mean, Jason alluded to it before. I'm looking at where a lot of the folks from this podcast right now are located. The Northeast used to be, from a brokerage standpoint, they had some of the strongest company dollar because the agent splits weren't anywhere near as high. They're catching up now. I mean, I can remember 25 years ago doing brainstorming sessions with other brokers, and in the Mid-Atlantic, we were happy with a 20% company dollar, and in the Northeast, they were seeing more of a 35% company dollar, the agent splits. Now they're obviously increasing everywhere. And that's wonderful from an agent's perspective, but extremely challenging from the broker's perspective. So if brokers don't have the other income streams, they won't survive. And Jason alluded to it, that things are changing so quickly. From an AI standpoint, we've had 4 meetings already this morning. AI has come up in every single one of our meetings, and it will continue to come up from a compliance standpoint, from a transaction coordination standpoint, from a CRM. AI is going to be where we all have to be careful, first off, but we also need to be smart enough to realize how it can benefit our business and not be a detriment. So, long-winded answer, Darryl. It needs to be profitable. I could care less about having bragging rights for the number of offices or the number of agents or the volume, or, we've been number 1 in the world for Century 21 5 times. What does that mean? Not a damn thing.
No, nothing.
Unless you can actually be profitable and sustain your business and bring something of value. The value proposition that you have for your agents as a broker, and the value proposition that you as a team leader and agent have for your clients and customers, is everything.
Let me pause here on the questions and address the AI piece. So how are you both, or how's the company using AI? Or what's your plan with AI? What are some of the points that you're planning to
So the most direct thing we're working on right now, and we're literally in the thick of it, is the compliance aspect and reviewing a contract. I mentioned this morning, take the 27 pages of a home inspection and take the 15, 20 pages of the sales contract and the various addenda. It doesn't take a live body to make sure there are initials there. It doesn't take a live body to check. I was blown away. I was just reading through the report that was generated through AI, and think of it sort of as like a deep state chat GPT specifically tailored for real estate. And if you train it well enough and you put in thousands of transactions and contracts, and it gets the repetitive nature of it and knows what to look for. The report that just came out on this was a piece of vacant land that was under contract. We're giving live information to the company that is producing this for us. And the report that came out was 1,000 times better than any of our transaction coordinator live bodies. And we also use virtual assistants that are in remote countries right now. It will blow us away. It actually needs to be dialed back a notch because it's too restrictive and asking everybody for all of that. So that's the simplest way and the most proximate way that we're going to see benefit, in my opinion, from AI.
Cool. Jason, what's your thoughts on the AI and the company?
I mean, I've been saying, being out in the field, saying there will be a time when a bot will do a transaction. We can count on it. It's scary as that sounds, but that will happen. The agents that don't embrace AI are probably going to be out of business because agents will be more efficient by using it in a manner to, exactly like Todd alluded to, helping with a home inspection, creating an executive review, taking your listing and your buyer consultation presentation and have an AI clean it up and drive through. If you don't have a mission statement, just type into ChatGPT right now. What are some key salient points of what I should say in my mission statement? I'm amazed how many agents out there don't use a resume when presenting themselves when going out in the field. Use ChatGPT to take your resume that you've had for years and clean it up, and it should be a different resume or value proposition for a buyer versus for a seller. Because if you're great at negotiating on the buy side and talking about your list to sale ratio as a salient point, let ChatGPT go through those points and quantify your value and getting a buyer or seller to realize, okay, wow, if you charge me X, but you're that good of a negotiator, you're a steal when I hire you. I mean, we really need to get to that level of detail. Where we're using it as a company is when it comes to lead capture through we use Real Scout, which is a phenomenal tool out there. I call it the Redfin app of our side. AI is monitoring all of our buyers and sellers that are searching inside of that app. It's incubating them and staying in touch. I try and lead by example. I have my own Real Scout account. I'm in there this morning. A buddy of mine from years and years and years ago, we used to work out in the gym together. He looked at one listing this morning 6 times. I just texted him and said, hey, is this a listing you want to see? AI did all this while I was sleeping. And they pinged me in the morning through our CRM saying, you probably should reach out to this person. So if you're not using, and this is for the agents on the call, if you're not using some system where it's got stickiness on the internet, it's populating, streamlining all your leads into a CRM and telling you what to do every day, you need to figure it out, because that's the future. That is literally changing the habits of how an agent should operate to be successful. I say to people all the time, who can afford a COO in this market? And nobody raises their hand in the room. Well, your COO needs to be your CRM, because that's what it'll tell you what to do and how to operate your day.
Julie, write down Real Scout, because I've heard many people recommend this product. And everybody on the call, you should look into Real Scout. We'll see about making them an approved vendor. And also, I so agree with you on the AI. I'm going to just put my 2 cents in on this. My company, my whole team, they use it at least a couple, 2, 3, 4 times a day. And I use it extensively. And what I have actually learned is that even though they say that it doesn't remember your conversations, it does. Like my ChatGPT is so mini Darryl. Like, it knows my culture, it knows my philosophy, because when I ask it a question, it's pulling information from other chats. And so just the more you use it, the more you're training it on your style. And so and we're going to do a January 7th, we're doing a ChatGPT AI class for the beginner. Like, here's 101, because you're right, Jason, what you said. If you guys don't use it, you're going to be left behind. So, all right.
Does it do New York slang back to you, by the way?
It does. There was one time where I told it something. We were paying a vendor something, and it literally got offended. They're charging you what? Are you kidding me? I mean, I never saw an AI get offended, but this one did, because it's a New York ChatGPT.
Well, we have our own AI that's Digital Darryl, and it sounds just like Darryl, which is hilarious.
Oh yeah, I should tell you guys.
With the Mama Malouk and how you doing?
We Todd, we actually did. We got the Inman Award the first year that Inman was giving out the awards for AI or for tech. We got the award for AI because we have an AI that's not search. It's firewalled off the internet. It's not ChatGPT. It's our own software, and we uploaded 30 years of my training, my tapes, and then we gave it my voice, and we call it Digital Darryl, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
You put 37 Stepford wives and Stepford husbands out there that are mini Darryls, the world will be a better place.
Well, I don't know about that, but thanks for the compliment. I think it'd be a mighty scary world. But
there's a couple comments in the chat I think we should piggyback on too, because Victor's talking about back to fundamentals, relationships are first, and somebody made the comment about actually Victor again. Everyone is a pro with verbiage from AI. You are absolutely right, Victor, and we cannot let AI be the focus, or we'll be talking ourselves out of the job. If the relationship remains the most important part of the transaction, and it needs to. I'm an avid investor, and I'll have ChatGPT do comparisons and spit out spreadsheets on when I give them the details. What it doesn't give you is the rest of everything, the rest of the story, and knowing the history of the different properties that we're looking at, and knowing what may or may not be coming there. It's going to get there, and it's going to start becoming. We always talk about how we're the expert in the area, and ChatGPT is becoming the expert in many areres. But ChatGPT can't deliver that Thanksgiving pie, can't deliver that, whatever it is, the pumpkin at Halloween, or can't host the events and then have people ask you questions and let you be the expert at what you're doing.
The other thing that it drives me nuts, and I hope everyone agrees with this, but I can spot a ChatGPT email response or a document. I mean, we got to be careful. I mean, some people are hitting the easy button, and this is not an easy business, and we never want the consumer to think it is. And I think we need to be careful that ChatGPT is running. Everyone on this call has a sales and marketing mindset. If ChatGPT is becoming your component of sales and marketing, you're only using it. We all are super talented. What's between our ears right now has made us all successful to this point. Don't let that stop. ChatGPT should only complement what you're doing. But man, it frustrates me. I can see emails right out of the gate. I can spot them. Go, okay, well, that person's clearly just put in there and help me write this topic, and it spit it out. So we need to be careful that there's some unintended by relying on it so much. that it takes away from what made us great. And that's how we learned by being boots on the ground and out on the streets.
I want to highlight what you just said, Jason. It's true that people can usually tell when they're just copy and pasting a ChatGPT response. It happened just the other day. Well, my accountant, I had an issue with my accountant. They made a very bad mistake. And his reply back, I know this guy. I know my guy. He had ChatGPT write that damn response. And some agents, when you read those descriptions, like it's a story, oh, you're going to walk into this wonderful fairyland, like it's a book, that novel. And man, don't do that, because it makes you look bad. It makes you look insincere. ChatGPT is not going to replace us. AI is not going to replace us. It should be an assistant to you. You know, for $20 a month, you run things. I'll say one last thing on this. During the settlement with NAR and the huge lawsuit we did, what I did to help our coaching members, I took the actual settlement agreement, I uploaded to ChatGPT, and I said, "Do me a favor, give me a stupid, like dumb it down for me, and give me the bullet points of what the hell this means." And that's how I was able to communicate it to our coaching members. This is what it is, you know. So it doesn't replace, but it's a great assistant. Okay. Let's see, where are we? Julie, is there any questions yet that we want to address to interrupt this conversation a little bit, or?
We do have two, and I also see a hand raise. We're not doing hand raising this time, guys. I know we do that on our coaching calls. If you do have a question, please just pop it in the Q&A panel. Do you want to take these two questions, or do you want to?
Yeah, go read it, Jules. Go ahead.
All right. Michelle says, what do you see of any future lawsuits? What is your feeling about Zillow?
Great question. There's two questions in there.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Jay. I was
just going to say, they're going to continue to come.
Yeah.
I think, you know, we're in a market of consolidation. We're seeing that right now. But I think there are attorneys out there. Some love them, some we don't like them. But they are literally sharks in the water, looking for us to make mistakes, and that is their job, is to watch a plate fall out of our hands, and they are on us. So back to Todd's point, that's how important compliance is, and that everything we do, we have to CYA, we have to make sure that we disclose everything we should have disclosed to a buyer or seller, every initial. Simplest thing we can do to avoid these attorneys is that you can prove in writing that you presented the home warranty that your company offered, and they initialed it. They didn't use it, but they initialed it. I mean, we just got to get to a place where we can prove in writing. Verbally, unfortunately, it's not going to cut it anymore. You got to have it in writing. So I think we're in a market where we just need to buckle up, and we got to watch left, watch right, watch our flanks. That's what we do. But if you do it the right way the first time, you won't end up in front of the guy with the black robe.
As Jay said, they are only going to continue. There'll be class action lawsuits that'll continue at every level out there. We've got one, and actually we network, Jay and I network with about 15 of the top brokers within the brand, and actually other brands as well. And to hear and see the hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars that brokers are now having to put into these lawsuits that are absolutely ridiculous. We've got one right now. Where I'll spare you all the details, but there's a law firm that has gone after 300 brokers, and these are Harvard attorneys. This is not fly-by-night attorneys. These are Harvard grads that are going after 300 brokers. Ours is because 9 or 10 years ago on our website, there were some cookies that were set up that were going to interface with LinkedIn that we never even triggered on. So we've never even used it. Do we have it on there? Yes. And so they come after it, and they're looking for hundreds of thousands of dollars to make that go away. So it's not going to. I mean, that's insane. I can tell you of other brokerages that have had class action suits against them from the TCPIA and the brokers training their agents. And at one point, they throw it back in their face and say that we encourage you to prospect and to make phone calls. And so they're slapping the broker with the suit because you're training your agents to make the phone calls. Your agents are then calling the do not call and texting the do not call. So you're at fault. And they've spent millions of dollars on that silly of a case. It's nuts.
And just so, especially the agents understand, is that a lot of these lawsuits, these attorneys attack us on, they know they have not a winning case, but that's not what they're doing. What they're doing is forcing the broker to pay them off to settle. So that way the broker doesn't go through all of this expense and legal fees. So people can sue anybody for anything. If they have just a little bit of evidence that they can bite their teeth into to cause a lawsuit to happen, and because of the big lawsuit settlement that NAR just did, there's chum in the water. So we've got a target on our backs right now, and we're going to see this for the next couple of years probably. So everybody buckle in. I don't know if you guys want to comment on Zillow, your thoughts about Zillow from an industry standpoint, good, bad, are they the wolf over the hill type of thing?
They're definitely the wolf. I'm sorry.
Okay, Jay.
I was just going to comment. I was listening to a podcast, and someone made a comment. If you took every broker in the United States and pooled together all of their profit in cash and took that and tried to compete with Zillow and the engine that they have to go after advertising, it's not even close. That perspective would just hit me right in the face to say that they are definitely the elephant in the room. Obviously, we know about some of the discussions that they're in with the private exclusives and whatnot, and all that's playing out. And there's some cases coming up that could shape the future of our industry for a long, long time. But we need to know, and I'd say to any agent on this call, if you plan on competing with Zillow, their job is to steal your customers. That is their job. They want your customers. And if they have AI and they have technology at night when you're sleeping and they're doing a better job of communicating, they probably will, because they have the money to do it creatively. But the relationship's going to stand. So we've got some interesting waters ahead with the suits as they fall. Specifically, I think Todd and I are watching the private exclusives specifically, because that's one that's a very hot topic. That will be interesting to see how that plays out.
What was the analogy years ago? Zillow is basically stolen your wristwatch, and basically is you pay for your time for the time. So
yes,
that was like 15 years ago with Trulia and Zillow and all of that, and it's only accelerated. They truly are the 800-pound gorilla, guys.
Yeah, that's very concerning. And Zillow last year, at all the conventions I was at, Zillow of course had their booths, and they had their banners and they had this big messaging in all. I'm sure you saw it with Zillow works for agents.
Yeah.
And to me, that was the biggest BS slogan. but obviously, they still need us for them to have that be. They're trying to change the conversation. So it'd be nice. The more agents that don't give Zillow money to help compete against us, the better our industry would be. Okay.
And on a serious note, and Jason and I have done tons of business planning sessions with top team leaders and top agents and analyze their business. And if pick a name, Zillow, whatever, if that is truly working for your net return on your investment, rock on. But I would submit to you that more often than not, 9 out of 10 times, when we really get more granular and we start looking to see where the dollars have been spent and what's really there, it's not necessarily what everybody thinks it is.
I agree totally. Julie, you have another question there.
I do. What is your ideas on training? Not just new agents, but seasoned ones. Lots of agents out there have a lack of training.
I love this question because I know your answer. That's why.
Carrier, rock on.
Anonymous, we'd love to know what your name is. Guys, change your name.
So I'll comment, because this is an area I'm super passionate about, and I just did an analysis with Todd and Mary Lynn looking at our entire agent population. And between a 3-unit producer and a 20-unit producer, that accounted for about 70% of our agent population. So we've got, above the 20 mark, you've got agents that are doing hundreds of units and 7 digits in GCI. But that core middle group is where I am hyper focused, and we're actually launching. We have been through, Darryl, obviously your training, you've been on with us. We've had several top trainers that we've been a part of through the years. We're trying to take the best of the best. We're going to leverage the number 21 because that's passionate with us, with Century 21.
Sure. And
I believe in our market, with an average sales price, depending on where you are, if you're inside the Beltway, it's probably closer to $1 million. And if you're outside the Beltway, it's still 700,000 or 600,000. If you get to 21 units, you have a business. You're not just doing this every now and then. You're running a business. And you're having serious discussions about, do I need an assistant to help me? The answer is yes. Should I consider hiring a showing agent or a buyer's agent to work on it? Yes. So we've got a training program that we're launching in 2026. We have a new agent training program we call FIRE, which stands for Full Immersion in Real Estate. And that teaches an agent how to write a contract. We set them up with a business plan. We set them up to, prepare for your first listing presentation, your buyer consultation, ultimately to learn how to understand sales and then how to understand a customer. Those are skills that you don't learn if you go through your real estate course. We teach them that. It's 12 weeks. And we've had the same phenomenal trainer for, Todd, 25 some years. She's been doing with us and she's super passionate about it. We want to take that training and go to level 2. So we're designing, what we'll take the FIRE training, we're going to turn it into an Inferno. And the Inferno, the Inferno is going to be for those 6-unit producers that want to double, the 12-unit producer that wants to get to 21. So the goal is to work everyone towards that 21 number. And we're hyper passionate about that. We believe that, hey, I believe if I'm going to lose weight, Todd and I, if we had a bet on losing weight, we're going to check in every Monday. And if I don't show in for that checkup, he's going to toast me. And so if you have an accountability partner, hold your hand along the way and create the good habits, you're going to get a better result. It's just a fact. I don't think there's anyone disagree with me. If you want to work out in the gym and you hire a personal trainer, they will work you and you will get results. If you just go there to stare at your biceps in the mirror, you're not going to get any help. That's not going to help you. So we believe that training is something that has been a core of our company. We're going to take it to the next level in 2026.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Jason. And just to highlight that, so many agents, they don't have good training in the companies that they're in, and more so in the smaller offices. And I know, because they come to me, how important that is and how that's lacking. So it's so wonderful to hear your commitment and passion to that, because it's so important. And when you think about it too, just to put a pin in that, while you were sharing, Jason, I was thinking, you know what? There's anybody that's a real master at their profession, they're always in training. Baseball players, football players, artists, singers, chefs. I mean, there's no I'm going to go to chef school once and then I'm just going to cook. They have their own conventions, they have their own classes, and they work with other chefs to coach them and So it's like training is like showering. You don't do it once. You do it on a regular, consistent basis, right? So, all right, Jules.
Let me share, actually.
Yeah, Todd.
Jason mentioned FIRE, Full Immersion Real Estate. It's modularized. It's more custom tailored for new agents really learning. As you said, principles course, nobody learns anything. And then you learn the real prospecting and you really how to the sales side, and then the rudimentary, brass tacks of the sales contract and the buyer consultation. We have taken, that's typically newer agents and lower producing agents that have gone through that. Some of our 30-year veteran agents that do 25 and 30 transactions have taken the time to go back through FIRE, and they have been blown away saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know what I didn't know. And I've been doing this for 3 decades. So anybody that's doing this forever, as Darryl's saying, yeah, you can always, just chime in and listening on stuff that he's doing. You will I will always learn something.
Awesome. Very good. Next question, Jules. These are good questions. I'm going to keep letting them roll until we get a stupid one. And then I'll go back to my questions.
Darryl. All right. Tiffany says, what CRM do you guys use?
Jay, you want to hit that?
Follow up, boss.
Yep. FUB.
Yep.
Okay. Do you feel NAR is worth joining, since most of us only use our MLS? So I know Darryl has an opinion on this. Love to hear you guys.
I'll chime in and take a stab at it. And I'm going to probably talk out of both sides of my mouth right now. And I'll just tell you that right up front, because I've been focused on growing a business for the last 40 years. And early on, and my local board would have been the Northern Virginia Association of Realtors. And early on, I, went as part of the grievance committee, and I, dedicated some time, and I'd be on, whatever. And I'd go in there. And then I realized, I said, look, I really need to, it's either time between, I think it really happened once we started having kids. And it was a choice between my kids get my time, my company gets my time, or the board gets my time. So I became selfish, and I put the time into growing the company and making sure that I was there for my family. Having said that, I also believe that NAR, as the size that it is and the lobbying efforts that it has, I think it's important for them to be a voice for us. I also think it's important for them to be the right voice for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to make sure that it's not political, and we won't even get into the political side of where it's at, because there'll be, if we've got 225 people on here right now, there are 112 that feel one way and 113 that feel another way. But I think that it's important for NAR to accomplish what they need to accomplish. When they stop doing that, then I don't know. Whoever asked that question, I didn't go back to the Q&A in there, but so that's my answer out of both sides of my mouth.
Got it. Jason, yeah, 2 cents on it?
Well, actually, I'm monitoring a lot of commentary specifically regarding Zillow and FUB.
Okay,
yes,
all right.
I've been, there's several in there, and we are well aware of the privacy notice. We are well aware of what Zillow is doing, recording conversations and flagging certain customers that may be ready for a pre-qualification and moving those over to Zillow Home Loans. We're well aware of that. Todd and I are looking at it, and that is a very serious thing. We've certainly invested a lot of time and energy into FUB, but the game certainly changed. We all know why Zillow acquired FUB. It's all about data. We all know why the end goal for Zillow is to move them into a loan product where they've got great margins. But yes, that is something that we are definitely looking at, is something to take very seriously.
I can also, I'm sorry, I say that I think it's important for you to realize that everybody, whether it's Zillow, Follow Up Boss, Dotloop, SkySlope, they're all looking for the data. Mm-hmm. So what I talked about before, that's why we're going to make it proprietary. That data lake will be owned by us, not anyone else. And I think that's critical. And truth be told, unless you get the center of mass and the scale, if you will, a smaller broker isn't going to be able to make that happen, financially make that happen. So we're aggregating and we're forming a consortium of other large brokers, and we're all footing the bill to make that happen, to protect our own butts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just I guess I'll say this for the agents that chimed in about Follow Up Boss is owned by Zillow and da-da-da. You know, when you're a company the size that Century 21 is in New Millennium, and when they were using it before Zillow bought it, to make a change when you're a big company like this, it's not a quick overnight thing. So it has to be strategic if they're going to make that change, et cetera. So now I will say too, as far as NAR, here's my 2 cents on it, and then we'll go to the next question, is I believe every agent would benefit and should be a realtor. I don't like the leadership. I don't like the policies on a lot of things. And I really hate the fact that NAR thinks they're a law firm giving advice to us on how to run our business. That's not what associations are supposed to do. I think they keep crossing the line, trying to be like a law firm, telling us how to interact with our buyers and sellers at the kitchen table, and they should stay out of that. So that's my 2. So you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. What we need to do is change. And I'll say one other thing, just politically. An association where you volunteer, I don't think the executives at the top should be making $1 million in salaries over the course of 4 years. To me, that's not volunteering.
And it's actually multi-million dollars.
I know, it's ridiculous. I belong to the American Bar Association. I belong to the Speakers Association. Those people, the executives, they volunteer their time. But we're paying these guys over the course of 4 years, like you just said, multiple millions of dollars. There's too much money up top. It's too corrupt. That's got to change. All right, Julie, next question.
Julie, can we first, can I just acknowledge Bev Langley? I'll say first off, hi, Bev. I love that you put in there that I'm a 49-year veteran and need to learn everything all over again to avoid being a dinosaur. Bev is sold, but she's a rock star in our marketplace. She's sold over 7,000 homes, but she's found in the last year that if she doesn't train hard. It's interesting, Bev. We had one instance where we were training an agent and a seasoned agent, I'll put it that way. And she'd been doing this similarly for 35, 45 years, and actually had her family members, I think it was her daughter that was sitting there with her, and basically just learned it and taught the mother. And then the mother took it and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I hadn't been doing this all along. So yeah, we can all learn every day, Deb.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Jules?
Learners are earners, right? It's an old saying, but it's a
Yeah.
truth.
That's it.
Michelle says, with the Missouri lawsuit, are your agents still on broker-to-broker compensation, or are you using contract for compensation?
I'm not familiar with that lawsuit.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Yeah, I'm not-
So, Michelle, Century 21 New Millennium is in Virginia, D.C., Maryland,
Maryland,
and West Virginia.
West Virginia,
Virginia, and now Pennsylvania, effective last
Oh.
night.
Last night?
grand
We
opening.
just opened Greencastle, Pennsylvania last night.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I got to talk to my investigative team. They missed that one. All right.
It was
Oh, good.
that
It just happened.
I don't care. All right. Michelle, sorry, we can't help you with that. Next one, Jules.
Ken says, why are you, this one's going to hit you, Darryl.
Oh,
Why
no.
are agents telling other agents that they won't forward a love letter? The recent lawsuits are about giving buyers and sellers choices. If a seller agrees to accept a love letter and a buyer wants to submit one, why are agents taking the choice away? I think this might be an upcoming lawsuit. Okay, so Darryl's going to pull out a soapbox in a hot second.
Well, I may not. I don't want to steal the time here. So, Todd, Jason, what's your policy on the buyer love letter? What's your policy on that?
We've had it come up a few times, and quite frankly, I agree with the mindset that if the seller is willing to accept it, rock on.
Okay, so I'm glad to hear that. Thank God, because I was holding my breath for your answer.
And I would agree, but as a marketplace goes, it is not allowed.
Yeah.
But if a seller authorizes it and wants to hear about it, there's a lot of sellers that are passionate about their homes. They've lived there for 30 years, and they want to have the next family embrace the memories in the home that they've cherished. And there's something to be said for having that personal connection. So with two parties that authorize and that, so be it.
Yeah, as the father of that technique, I can attest that I love the buyer love letter, and this is an example of when NAR has just flooded the airways, if you will, on this is a potential fair housing violation. There's been zero lawsuits filed based on the buyer love letter as a violation, but there was one that was filed because the buyer's First Amendment rights were impeded upon by not allowing the letter, and that went to the Supreme Court in that state, and they won that. So you actually have more evidence that if you resist the buyer love letter or you poo-poo it and you discourage a buyer doing that, there's evidence that you can be in a lawsuit and lose because you stepped on a person's First Amendment rights. But that's another webinar. Okay, next question, Julie.
Perfect. DJ says, do you think it's important for your agents to be involved in the operations and decision makings of local boards?
I do. I mean, I think we've got presidents that serve in Southern Maryland Association of Realtors. We have several of our top agents, including a couple of our branch leaders, that sit on grievance boards, and it's great perspective. I also think it adds a whole new element of the value of at least our firm. Is that, Todd, I think you'd agree, for the most part, we keep our people out of trouble because we've got layers of protection. I say to agents all the time, you don't know when you need a broker or when you need an in-house attorney until you really need them. And then when you need them, you need to make sure that the company you're with has your back, because when something pops up, and something will, man, it's a scary place, and you're spending lots of outside money and counsel to protect you. And that's something we're super passionate about. And those that sit on those boards tell me all the time. And unfortunately, a lot of them are these fly-by-night companies where the people have no compliance, they have no protection. They have to send an email to hear from a broker. An email to talk to a broker? Are you kidding me? This is a matter of importance. I need to talk to someone now. I don't know how anyone could run a business when they got to wait to hear back from someone electronically. That is a scary component. So compliance and making sure that someone has your back, to me, should be a top pillar for anyone that's running a business.
Jay, I'm glad you helped finish my thought from before, because when I said I was talking out of both sides of my mouth, and I personally haven't been involved in the associations and whatnot, as Jay mentioned, I mean, we've had the Maryland Association president, the Virginia's associate, I mean, all the local boards association presidents and boards of directors and whatever, and they bust their butt and really go to bat for all of us every day. And, you know, we're appreciative that they take the time to do that, and they're making a difference for all of us.
Absolutely. Next question, Jules.
Ashanti says, what are effective ways for a buyer's agent to pivot their role or services?
Buyers agent to pivot their role or services. I will say that I think August of last year gave our entire industry the best opportunity to prove our value ever in our history. And one of the things that we went out on the road is that we went out and taught agents to reshape their value proposition, to truly quantify your value. If you're not telling a seller over your last 10, 15, 20 transactions, here are my results, here's what I did to help a buyer win a deal and negotiate for them. Ultimately, that's what you're being paid for anyway, is to be a good negotiator. It's not just to open doors.
Right.
On the list side, if you're not proving to them that you're selling houses faster and are retaining the seller's money, and that equates to how you are ultimately compensated over X amount of transactions, that gave us a chance to win the conversation and say to a seller, here is my fee. I'll give you a name of 12 other people that will charge you a discount. Good luck when it comes to protecting your value, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. That was the best window of time, and we thankfully, Todd and I monitor it. I review it every single month, every one of our branches. What is the average commission per operative side? We talk about it, we live by it. We want to make sure that our agents understand the value that we bring. And we are seeing an improvement year over year, a significant improvement, because agents are standing up and believing that this is the most important transactions of people's lives. They need us. And the studies have just come out and saying that we're at the highest level in history of agents being hired on transactions. The one thing that the internet has allowed us, Darryl, is that there's so much out there as far as how complex the process is. I think it's gone the other direction. Yes, the data has been given to the consumer, but the consumer realized, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I do need to hire an agent. And that has allowed us to retain more customers. So that August of last year, while scary and while expensive, it gave us as independent practitioners out in the field to earn more money. And I think we're starting to see it across the footprint.
The other thing that's important to note for everybody, since we've got a montage of the entire country here, in our market area, even though we span multi-states, we've been using buyer broker representation for 3 decades. And so it wasn't that much of a shift other than sort of bifurcating them and realizing that, yeah, we need to make sure that we can sell our value proposition to whichever party we're going to represent. So it wasn't I talked to other broker owners from out west that never had it and don't understand it in the Midwest. And they're like, whoa, we always represent the seller. And that was a major shift for them. For us, it was a minor blip, if you will. It caused more of the temporary uproar on, with TV and radio and ads on it, whatever, and then it went away.
Yeah.
And right now, as Jason's saying, when we can actually improve the average commission per side on both sides of the fence, so much the better. So I think everybody here, you can actually continue to do that.
Todd, let me ask you, since this settlement where we got rid of the field on the selling broker's commission, is the policy of the company to have the agents still ask for the full fee on the listing appointment, both the listing and buyer side, or did you break it up where we're just asking the homeowner for the listing side and then addressing the buyers? You're breaking it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, to me, thank God, because some brokers are still trying to fit a square.
Focus on our representation, and then let that person offer for whatever if they're coming in, if we're representing the seller and the buyer wants to come in and ask for X% or X bunny rabbits, do it.
Exactly. And I got to say, to me, that lawsuit settlement, that was the best thing that actually happened to our industry.
Agreed.
Because instead of going on a listing appointment, trying to get that whole number where the homeowners think, no, that's too high. They say, but I'll pay you this amount if you bring me buyer. In other words, asking for just the half makes it so much easier on the listing appointment. Like you're going to be able to close more listings easier because you're not asking for the whole big number at that listing appointment.
That's right.
That was a blessing in disguise. All right, Jules, we got another.
Darryl, the other thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
The other thing I was going to mention that I've been talking to agents about the days of doing net sheets I remember doing them on a piece of paper and showing a buyer or a seller truly what their costs are. I think now more than ever, first of all, you can go into, or at least our title company, and go in, you can do a net sheet in 30 seconds, and it's as professional and to the point, showing a buyer and seller the cost of which a commission is included.
Yep.
And you give them 3-4 scenarios, should be a standard every single time you sign a listing agreement or sign a buyer broker agreement. That has to be a standard. And we've gotten away from that. Now's a chance, again, to re-embrace it and say, with your fee included, here's what happens when we go to closing.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Jules, I'm going to actually do our rapid fire takeaways because we're at the end over here. So one metric that you guys won't stop watching as you go into the new year.
I think we just said it. Average commission per side, truly. I mean, that's when I get on with Jason and Jason gets on with the branch leaders, we're taking a look at that.
Awesome. One process every brokerage should standardize in the coming quarter.
Jay?
Standardize. I would say standardizing your communication systems between your CRM. If you have a newsletter, if you have any data entry, should be enter it once, and it should be standard to communicate through all your systems. This multiple point of entry has to go away. That has to be a standard of how you operate.
Got it. One mistake leaders should stop making.
Forgetting to lead with empathy.
Jason, what would you say to that one?
Micromanagement. Hire people, right seats, hire leaders that do their job, and let that take care of itself. Micromanagement just kills organizations.
Beautiful. One book or podcast other than this one that you would recommend to managers?
Anything puts out.
Oh my gosh, Todd, we didn't talk.
Yeah, love him.
I
missed that.
Simon Sinek. I just downloaded Leaders Eat Last. Todd, I thought of you because I just started it. It's phenomenal. And it's about creating a culture of leaders that let your people eat first. Let's just give you the summary.
And the last name, Sinek for
yes.
Folks, look it up. Simon Sinek, Sinek.
He's got several. I just downloaded that book. I'm reading it right now.
Everyone, even if it doesn't relate to what we're doing, it's in a roundabout way, it's going to relate to what we're doing. You won't regret it.
And you know the what you just said from that, what you just downloaded, Jason. It seems like the most successful companies, there's two things that they clearly have that struggling companies don't have, and that is number one, a clear culture, like who they are for their agents, who they are as a business, that identity, the mission statement. And the second thing is the language that you use. For example, you have fire, and now you're going to have ignite. Like naming things help anchors the culture. You know, a perfect example of that is just Disney. You know, their culture is clear, and they use language to support the culture. You know, they're guests, they're not customers, etc. Julie, is there any pressing? I mean, we're at our time now, but is there anything pressing that we need to address for our attendees? Any questions that we feel should be addressed?
Well, I think that we have Tricia, and that's a good, because Jason's brought this up quite a bit. What is the most effective vehicle to show value? You've talked a lot about value proposition and making sure that you're reshaping that. So brochure, resume, flyer, what should you be using?
This is obviously an agent.
Literally all of the above.
All the above. I'd say to every agent, and I used to do this once a year, is look at your presentation deck. How are you presenting yourself? They got to like you first. If they don't like you, you're never going to win. You got to showcase you can be trusted. You got to showcase that you care, and that's just not something you can teach. You truly have to showcase empathy, and Todd said it earlier. And then you have to showcase that you've got the knowledge to get the job done. If you don't do those three, forget it. You're going to lose. Once you check those three boxes, you've then got to showcase the company that you're with, and the broker that you're with has the marketing, the tools, the scale. I mean, we don't talk about our neighborhoods. We talk about Century 21 is a global player. We live in a global marketplace here in Washington, D.C. People come from all over the world. And if you're with a brand that no one's heard of, I'm sorry, you're at a disadvantage because our reach goes to 86 countries around the globe. And our job when we sit in front of a seller is to expose that house to more people than anyone else out there. That's part of our pitch. And it's extremely valuable. If we bring in 3 buyers and the other people only bring in 1, we feel confident the seller's going to get most for their home because we've got more opportunities. That's a win-win. That's a supply demand. We want to bring as much demand out there as we can.
And what you just said, and I hope what people picked up too, Jason, is not just what you said, but how you said it. You know, your core, what you just said, you believe, you're passionate about Century 21 and almost like there's no other company that you should really be with. And that's really important that the agents on this and the brokers pay attention to that too as well, is that you've got to be passionate about the company that you work with. If you're not sold on that company, how in God's name are you going to be able to sell it to the person that you're sitting across from? So that's the number one ingredient I say that people should look for when choosing a company, is how that company makes you feel that you're in partnership with them. Is there anything, Todd, Jason, that you want to drop here, say and share that I didn't ask you?
No, I would just say thank you for giving us the opportunity to chat with you. I mean, I'm reading some of the things in the chat, and it's very flattering, but the reality is we all learn from everyone, each one of us every single day. And so, our willingness to share for this hour is nothing. We'd do anything for Darryl. When he reached out and he said, would you be willing to do this? I said, you just name the time and the place and always be there. You guys have always been there for us. The profession itself needs to make sure that we're always there for each other.
I appreciate that. Listen, gang, before we sign off, do me a favor, send some love to Jason and Todd because I didn't pay them for today. And so they're very busy gentlemen. So do me a favor in the chat. Thanks for the hearts. But in the chat, if maybe you're right, a little thank you, a little love. If you got something, there was an aha, write that as well too as we sign off. Julie, Sarah, is there anything that we need to say to bring this to a close?
Well, I would like to thank you for your model, your motto. That whole through line through this entire podcast is it reminds me of your do the next hard right thing as opposed to, the easy wrong thing. And I think that has gone through the entire session. You can't be sloppy. You can't, you have to value your work. You've got to know your own value, but you guys really embody to do the right thing and to step up and to keep learning. And it's definitely resonates with everything that we teach and train and that Darryl, I know, is committed to as well. So what a neat time to have the 3 of you on a podcast together as truly leaders in our industry. So thank you all.
Thanks, Jules.
Thanks,
Todd.
Jules.
Yeah, Todd, Jason, thank you very much for squeezing the time. I know how busy you guys are. And what you did today is, I know you made a difference in people's lives in our industry. So thank you so much for that. It's very special.
Our pleasure.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Holidays, everyone.
God bless everybody. Thank you. All righty. Bye-bye.